Hey guys, it's Bryce back at Raymond Music, and I wanted to show off some trombone slide work that I'm doing today. This is just a Holton student model trombone, and I know some people just are curious about what kind of steps I end up taking to fix trombone slides. And one that is pretty common is a bend in one of the tubes, or more likely, more than one of the tubes, either these two or the inners. But I just wanted to show off kind of the steps I take, so this isn't something that you would be able to do at home or anything like that. This is something that a tech would do, but I thought it'd be kind of a cool little behind the scenes and seeing kind of the steps and techniques that I use, and showing off a little bit of what's going on in the shop. So quick eyeball is kind of just looking at it is a good way to see if there's any huge bends or issues, and you can hold it up. I got big fluorescent lights running across the shop, and so I can hold it up and just sight it down with my eye and use the lights as kind of a beam to see if there's any curve in the light and stuff. So I can see there's a pretty good bend in the middle of this top tube, and I do it from all sides to see if there's a bend sideways, check the bottom one, flip it around, this kind of stuff. So I'm just doing a real quick check for you for the camera. All right, so now I have a pretty good idea of where the bend is. So that can get you, that's kind of the quick and dirty, get a good eyesight, a general idea of what's going on. You're not going to be able to see everything though. So the other thing I do in combination with that is using the leveling stone. So this is a precisely, very precisely leveled piece of granite, basically just a huge slab of granite that's been machined down nice and flat. So it's a good flat surface. And you can probably hear that. There's a clicking, and that's where it's bowed up a bit. The tubing is bowed up, and so when I'm tapping on it, it's moving down and clicking against the stone. So like over here, where it's making contact, there's nothing. And as I slowly move to the middle, there's a little click. So that means sides are touching, middle is not, and it's allowed to move and create a clicking sound. Sometimes I do that, but more often I'm getting down and just sighting down the block and looking for any light in between. But anyway, so we got a nice, pretty steady bend here in the middle. And so again, I'll do the broad strokes first. And this is kind of what I'll do to initially get this moving. And so I'm just bracing one side, usually the end here, not the crook. If you brace against the crook and you start pushing on it and things, you risk bending the crook. Sometimes I've had to do that, very rarely. I try not to, but brace one side against the bench, and then I just usually use a towel or a piece of paper or something, and just give a small bit of downward pressure and push it. And basically I'm just pushing the opposite way of the bend to get this more flat. So there we go. So now we got no clicking here. I can double check looking at the light. And that's looking a lot straighter. So that's kind of a way to get the big, broad bends out of there. This slide's a little bit dirty, but it's grabbing a lot less. So let's see if we can check some of the other directions. Yeah, so obviously this slide has a little bit more going on than just that one thing, but I want to focus on just this tube, just so we can demonstrate what normally happens. So sometimes I'm just flexing it around. If there's really small little bends, you can attack them. And just moving moving it with your thumbs for the smaller areas. So I kind of use the, kind of push and slide method for the really wide gradual bends. And then if there's like a really small sharp bend, kind of just use my thumbs and try and flex it. It doesn't take a lot, so that's where you can get into trouble. If you're, really wrenching on it, you'll break these and that kind of thing, snap them. So that's getting a little better. So I'm going to give this a quick cleaning. Clean it out, swab it real good, and then we'll come back and see how it's feeling. Okay, gave it a quick cleaning, and it's back. So now let's see where that alignment got us. It's a lot smoother. Yeah, that's a lot better. So for a student trombone, that's pretty good. You know, hardly ever is it going to be exactly perfect, especially this thing. I know this one in particular was a rental, and so it got beat up quite a bit by some kids. And so it's hard to get them exactly perfect, but that is way better, totally usable. And so basically, I'll do that kind of work, and then, you know, got to do the same thing to the inners. These don't bend quite as easily, but, you know, if you don't check them, then you don't know if they're straight. So I'll do the same thing. I sight them down, I check them on here, and then have to do that for the bottom slide as well. Check if they're parallel side to side, right? If one side is lifted up versus the other, if the inners are tilted and that kind of thing, make sure the same distance. So there's a lot more that goes into it, but that was just a quick example of one part of the slide repair that, you know, a pretty common issue of it being bent, getting that straightened out, you know, and then basically you get to do that multiple times around and around, getting all these things perfectly set. So yeah, trombone slides can be quite the beast. But hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight on a bit of trombone slide repair. Hope you enjoyed.